Fine. Oh, MSQ dungeon difficulty. Here we go again, boys. So I just wasted an hour in the Alexandria dungeon. I say wasted because I spent most of that hour wiping with my NPC party on the first boss and then force closed the game mid-fight on the second one out of sheer frustration. Never before have I literally dreaded seeing a dungeon pop up in the MSQ the way I have in Dawntrail, but each one has gotten progressively more frustrating. I, like many others I imagine, play this game primarily to enjoy the story. And while DT's story hasn't exactly been my favorite, I have been enjoying the way it unfolded in the later half of the game, yet having to struggle through increasingly difficult dungeons, I find myself questioning whether it's worth completing at this point. Yeah, have you heard about, like, having hands? Like, I don't know, man. Like, what if you had, like, 5 fingers? I am admittedly an older gamer. Most of my days of hardcore mythic and savage raiding are behind me. Okay, no. Alright. You are a fucking liar. No. You don't get to say, I used to be a hardcore mythic and savage raider, and then suddenly dungeons are difficult one day. You are a terrible fucking liar. Shut the fuck up. Holy shit. You don't just suddenly reach an age where you just lose the ability to, like, do anything. What? What the Nah. Like, stop fucking lying. In part because I recognize that I just can't keep up with the increasing pace of fight mechanics. These dungeons are not savage difficulty. Okay? LFR in WoW is not mythic, alright? By the time you see the telegraph on the ground in these fights, it's already too late to get to where you need to be. Yeah, it's almost as if you need to look at the boss for the visual cues. You drooling twat. I have zero interest in playing Dark Souls or Elden Ring, but it feels like that's the direction the devs are pushing with these new dungeons, and while I recognize there is a portion of the player base that wants that, locking MSQ behind dungeons of that kind of difficulty punishes the rest of us. Aye. FF Logs is completely blank. Yeah, funny that. I suggest that if these new fast-paced dungeons are indeed the direction Square Enix wishes to go with the game, they add another difficulty setting to dungeons. By all means, give the hardcore action game folks their Twitch reaction difficulty. But also make a normal level for the rest of us. You don't need to remove any mechanics to increase the reaction time. From the hell, I'd be happy if at least the NPC groups were altered to fit this. Right now, the damn NPCs are struggling to keep up. Look, I've always supported the idea of, like, a scaling dungeon difficulty system because it would be infinite content for those that want to push higher. But, my guy, you cannot, like, this line alone, like, just, like, why do people lie and be like, I used to be good? Why do people lie, bro? Shut up, man. Anyway, like, yeah, this could just be bait. Like, you know, the reason I don't really read forum threads often on stream is because most of it is fucking bait. And it's so bad. When you can clear eggs with one arm and a sling, you can do a dungeon. Exactly. I bet you do the solo instances on very easy mode. I do them on normal actually, but thanks for your non-constructive response. Agreed on every point. I am the same way. It is not too difficult, but the way they want me to learn is extremely frustrating and unenjoyable. They could have done a much better job. As well as there is no reason to lock themselves behind one difficulty saying why not just have a story mode. Bro, dungeons are fucking story mode. Why not offer extreme or harder way for those that want it? They do. It's called Criterion. They are creating all of this discourse over difficulty for no reason. No, they're not. They've barely changed anything. All they did was increase the pace by like 20%. And it's made dungeons more enjoyable already. It's not my fault, or anyone's fault, or the dev's fault that you're fucking terrible at the game. Why does this player base have so many people that are just entitled as fuck and think that everything should be handed to them on a silver platter, man? Why are so many people like this? Why are there so many people out there that think that like everything should be catered to them? And here's the thing. Here's the even better thing. You don't hear a single raider saying that like casual content shouldn't exist. It's always these idiots fucking going, this is for the fucking raiders. Nah, bro, like, you are just a brainlet. Like, why is it always the casuals, like, attacking the raiders? We say literally nothing about them. We only respond to it. Fuck me. I actually logged into post because I feel so strongly about this and I can't really stay quiet. I've been playing FFXIV for a fair few years now. I consider myself average at best, but I'm also a disabled gamer who has built up an FC with a partner I met within the game itself. I've tackled extremes and tried savages despite my disabilities, and I pulled my own weight even if I have struggled. That's great. I'm happy for you. Don't let your disability stop you. I've had my daily roulettes to go to for casual content. It's been fun running as a healer. I will say I've actually found myself a little bored at times. However, I've never had a problem because I understood I wanted more difficult content. I have access to it. Everyone does outside maybe the most recent ultimates, extremes, and savages can tackle and party finder so easily. Which is why when I was greeted with Dawntrail and its new difficult curve, I gotta say it's pushing me away. I can handle the mechanics after a spot of failure up until the optional dungeon Straber a Dead Walk. This single dungeon has exhausted me not only because of its sheer difficulty spike, because it's uninventing, unfriendly, and downright far too punishing for casual content. Like, so this is where, like, you know, I go from, like, supporting them to just being extremely confused. Like, how can you say these dungeons are, like, harder than fucking, like... Okay, they're saying it's too hard for casual content, but it's really not, though. Like, it's just not. Like, there's also a reason that, like, it doesn't kill you if you fuck it up once or twice. Like, yeah, like, the teacups are, like, kind of annoying, but they do have, like, set patterns. And, like, the guys running around in the first boss, like, yeah, like, their hitboxes are a bit jank. Because FFXIV and moving objects just don't get along well. But it's not that hard. You should just enjoy the chaos. I mean, yeah, like, the last boss, if you fuck that up, like, yeah, okay, it kills you. But you also have, like, 20 fucking seconds to figure it out. Even if I can get behind the mechanics, even if I get them down and can push through with my disabilities, it's so exhausting to play through on a daily basis if I do get it, because I don't just have to worry about myself, but other new players, other casuals, or players with disabilities worse than mine. You don't need to worry about them, though. Like... The devs cannot cater to literally everyone. They can add, like, accessibility options, and they have done over time, but they can't cater to everyone. And you've proven yourself, allegedly, of being able to do extreme and savage stuff. So, like, how is this too hard? I just don't get it. Like, these conflicting statements, like, as well as the one in the OP, of the, like, this, my days of hardcore, mythic, and savage. Like, it's just a blatant lie. What I am met with when I bring up how unfun this content difficulty is, use trust, get good, you don't need to do this content, lol. Even when I do offer actual criticism, the difficulty is misplaced, it's not welcomed by quite a number of players. Players that are worried about that upcoming raids would just be as harsh and unforgiving. Good! We've had extreme and savage difficulties for so long now, why are you bothering to put this level of difficulty into the casual side of the game? They're not. Funny thing is, I actually agreed things should be made more difficult. Shadowbringers and Walker Extremes were easy as it is, but that's where the difficulty should be, not in our daily expert dungeons. Personally, I hope this content gets nerfed. I hope it becomes more accessible to more players. If they double down difficulty, you'll be seeing a lot more casuals drop the game over time. Good. Yes, it really is incentivizing me to employ my countermeasure to ensure I don't have to deal with these dungeons, so I can have a smooth leveling roulette. What the fuck does that mean? Is there a link for this? Yeah. Here you go. Oh. Oh, bro, I ain't fucking reading all that. Fuck off. I agree with the original poster. Like, I already don't want to read it. I finally did them. I took my time, and I think for the most part they are fine in terms of keeping you awake and engaged. Leo Nog is obnoxious, but I have to do something about those ad hitboxes or how long the beheaded status lasts. Oh, that's the first boss of Strayborough, right? No. Just get good, man. I'm also posting in complete agreement of the original. Like, bro, I can't. Like, it's hard to take this seriously. Like, it's really hard to take, like, these new accounts seriously. I just think they're baiting, man. Like, I don't know. Like, there's a part of me that just refuses to believe that people are this stupid. Even though there's clearly a lot of people that are this stupid. Like, just look at Twitter on a normal day. It's really difficult for me to wrap my head around this. Like, how do you enjoy a single video game in your life if you are unable to, like, understand the concept of simply getting better at something? Like, is this how you function in real life as well? Something's too hard, quit. Like, it's crazy, man. There is no way you are this entitled about a video game. I'm still beating my head against Vanguard. I got gimpy hands from a stroke, and I've gotten a little better remembering the trust members run out the AoE at the last possible second, which will squash you if you're a step behind. I haven't got past the second boss before getting booted from the instance, and they're programmed to screw up and just eat the hit in multiple places. Sitting on top of them just kills you immediately. Look, man, look, I mean, I'm sorry that you had a stroke. I'm sure that was a terrifying experience, and my condolences. But maybe this game is not for you if you're still unable to do that. I just don't know, man. Like, I am of the opinion that some things aren't made for everyone. But, like, you're not out of options. Like, V has suggested one just there. Get a few friends to take you through. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, it's just weird. Like, there are options to this. Felix, go away, please. I'll feed you shortly. Like, there are options here. You just refusing to think of those options and then going to the forums to complain, like, it really dulls down, like, your argument. You know, I'm not going to accuse him of lying about that. I'd have no way to prove that. And, you know, unfortunately, strokes get a lot of people. So I would believe it. But it doesn't mean you're out of options, man. Okay, this guy is just explaining the mechanic. These sorts of threads really piss me off, because 9 out of 10 times Square Enix listens to them. The gap between MSQ dungeon difficulty to X Savage has gotten wider and wider over the expansions. There needs to be a more consistent rise in difficulty as we progress through the game, and only time lower dungeons should be nerfed is when the next expansion comes out. I'm not a Savage or Extreme player as such, but I do like to dabble and challenge myself at them every so often. Nothing just makes the endgame content harder, as it's more of a shock to the system when you reach them. Based response. This man gets it. And he's right. I have always said. The reason less people get into Savage and Extreme is because they're babied so hard in story mode stuff that they get to it and, like, it's fucking impossible for them. Because the game doesn't teach you shit on the way. Like, I'm baffled at how entitled people are. I mean, we've known this for years. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. But it never ceases to amaze me. And he's right as well. Like, Square Enix do listen. Like, they've said, you know, oh, we're gonna spend more time doing things our own way now. But they listened to fucking JP complaining about Viper already. So, you know, I don't know how true that is. I remember the burn. You will remember the burn. With the Ice Dragon at the end, and everyone complained it was too hard. So it got nerfed, I'm pretty sure. It was sad. God forbid people have to use their hands. Or brains. Or think of something that works for them. At some point. Rather than just immediately going to the forums to complain. I come from the FGC where severely disabled gamers absolutely body people because they put in the work to get good. Seeing this shit is just pathetic. Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't want to be rude about it because, you know, I respect that a lot of people have inhibitions. But either some things just aren't made for you, or you need to find a way around it. Like, there are many streamers out there even who are severely disabled and still make things work because they find a way. And it's impressive. It is. But these people would rather sit there and fucking cry. And say that the game should be catered to them and them only. It's shocking to me, man. Shut the fuck up, Reese. My god. J Preem, thank you for the 4 months, man. Welcome back. Appreciate it, thank you. Use trust, get good. You don't need to do this content. You know what kind of players will dominate this game if this trend continues? I've seen many a game experience, and it's simple. More grinding and unforgiving mechanism leads to competitiveness and toxicity prevail. Less grinding, unforgiving mechanism, collab and friendship grow. Yoshi P has a choice, so do we all. To those who mock casual players are better things to do in real life, what are you afraid of? Bruv, we're not afraid of anything. Like, why is your assumption that everyone who isn't a casual player has, like, no real life? Like, how fucking stupid can you be, man? Like, do you know how many people take time off work to, like, do Savage Week 1? Time off their full-time job. The falsehood of the sense of superiority from a small dungeon, your refusal to understand the main story. You are entitled to enjoy the game your way, but not entitled to talk about other players in such a mean fashion. And yet, in you writing this post, you are doing the exact same thing to these people that you claim to have no real life and are too hardcore. You fucking hypocrite. Like, do you not see the error in your words? I'm a full-time student, but I still raid. See, there you go. According to this person, you have no life because you raid. What say you? Get good in your etiquette, please. How others play the game is none of your business. And yet you are telling us how we should feel. The hypocrisy is insane. Holy waffling, bro. I'm not advocating for nerfing in the dungeons per se. I'm saying that MSQ should not be locked behind dungeons that the average player will struggle to get through. They don't. Many of us play this game primarily for that story because we've been enjoying these stories in the single-player Final Fantasy games for years. Aren't those games, like, kind of hard at times, chat? Like, I haven't played them, so I don't know for sure. Aren't those games, like or at least they have, like, quite difficult, like, side bosses and stuff. If I, a casual white mage main, can clear the new dungeon of no issue on 400 plus playing, what is keeping them from clearing? In my opinion, make them harder. Absolute Chad of a first message. Thank you. Welcome. This is the thing, man. Like, this is really the key thing. Like, this is what I call the turbo casual, right? Because casual players that just choose not to raid for one reason or another still get it. Like, they still understand that it's either just not made for them or they just don't want to put in the effort, but they don't have a complaint about it. I've got casual gamer friends in this game, and honestly, in most cases, they're just tired of the game, and they're tired of how, like, fucking, like, droll the patch cycle is. And they're also tired of, like, things getting easier. Like, they don't do the harder stuff, but they don't want, like, the fucking dungeons and shit to be too easy. You have friends, some say. When you reach a boss in a single player FF that you're incapable of defeating, you go out and grind levels or get better gear and come back. You might research different strategies that utilize abilities you hadn't previously used. That isn't an option with these MSQ dungeons, because there are limits to how far you can level in gear, and strategize for clever spell use in the single player games don't work here. So instead, your option is to continue pounding your head against the wall in frustration. Go with a group and hope you have a damn good healer and someone who knows what the fuck they're doing. Preferably their healer. No, they shouldn't have to carry your stupid fucking ass. You've already been caught out lying about your fucking Mythic and Savage experience. Or give up and miss out on the sole reason you were playing in the first place. The story. It's disappointing to me that over the years, SC has followed Blizzard's example of increasing dungeon difficulty, simply making more crap you have to dodge. Ah, yes, it's the fucking WoW players, bro. Here it is. The classic. It's the fucking WoW players, bro! Ruining my game! There are definitely... Only SCS takes it one step further by limiting the use of predictive add-ons and making many warnings extremely subtle and easy to miss. How about open your fucking eyes then? There are most definitely ways to increase the challenge in dungeons beyond dodge the crap. It's group content. Engage the whole freaking group. Doesn't have to just be tank, get smacked, healer heals, and DPS stand there smashing their heads against keyboards as fast as possible. Designing counters where the mage has to use magic to tank something. Ah yes, so just don't use the Trinity. Like, does this person want, like, a fucking ESO style game? Like, I don't... Or the ninja has to sneak past something to unlock a buff, or the bard has to shoot something that debuffs the boss. Ah yes, let's bring back Stormblood meta. My favorite. Definitely not the worst part of the expansion. Having a meta. But except this time you want it in a fucking dungeon. You twat. What the fuck is... What is this take? There's countless ways to add challenge beyond dodge the crap as fast as you can or die, but it's the easiest way for companies to please the young folks looking to turn MMOs into the next Elden Ring so they can keep on doing it. So if they really must continue down this path, then all I am asking is that another difficulty to be added. Let the folks that Dark Souls actually have the super fast paced dungeons make a 70 slow pace to the rest of us. I think you just need to, like, uninstall this game and, like, go play Animal Crossing, man. Like, I don't know. I don't think this game is for you. Twat said right because Americans can't say it. I haven't said twat in a long time. I'm enjoying saying it. I think it's too stressful for them. Too many options. Fuck me. I just had 3 in the first normal trial. They didn't get any mechanics and 4 pulls. Now they want add-ons to tell them where to go. Yeah. A lot of people cheat in this game, man. I think the chance of failure in a dungeon is good and healthy. I think no matter what, there are going to be people that find the content too easy. And maybe people who find the content too difficult. Maybe there could be an echo option added for trust, like in old high-end content. Make all the NPCs do the mechanics correctly and buff the player's HP, damage, and healing. They could even limit this to a first playthrough. And have it as an option after you die. Encourage people to tackle the normal difficulty later for more drops. I don't think that will happen. Fuck! I hate this AFK timer, man. That's a sure sign I've spent too long molding at this thread. Why am I giving it so much attention? This is just another maybe bait thread. I'm out of content already. Thank God normal raids are out tomorrow so I can spam those. Great. Unless they've changed the way it works, I can help you this one. Look at the questions, also be duty tasks as well. The name. Okay, there. I didn't read that one. Throwing in my agreement on here after the final story trial was enjoyable, except for one mechanic. The room was absolutely covered in crap to dodge. It reminded me of E-Park in Guild Wars 2. Never heard of it. There's a reason I refuse to that map meta ever again. It's raging-inducingly frustrating trying to dodge so many mechanics that I can't tell them apart, and a lot of people over there, including the one the best raid in the game, absolutely loathe that fight. Can anyone, like, confirm or deny? That seems SE is doing the same thing, except it's final mandatory fight of an expansion. Also, apparently, the optional unlock dungeons are the same way, because I saw someone mention a dungeon I hadn't even heard of yet, which means I'm going absolutely dread roulette. Guess after I finish leveling what class, well, I'll do my first deliberate unsub, because this whole mess ain't for me. Good. Please unsub and stop playing, because I never want to see you in my duties. Fucking see ya. Sounds like the issue here are assuming that the split-second AoE flashes here are meant to be dodge of hardcore gamer Twitch React skills, when they're not all. When you see a split-second AoE indicate a flash like Boss 1 of Alexandria, you should have taken that as a sign that there's something else you're supposed to be paying attention to tell you where to go. Because indicators like that are just meant to be a way to show you where the range of the attack is in case you get hit, so you can learn where the edges of the AoE actually are. Very true. There's another tell somewhere. A visual one. When you see the telegraph, it's already too late, is the point. You're supposed to be in the position to dodge the AoE before it shows up. Stand on the donuts before they explode, and stand diagonal of the plus signs before they explode. When they do, move into position for the next one. It's a learning mechanic, not a reaction one. Someone had to say it, man. That was one specific example, and even that has like little margin for error, bro. Like, I'm on page 3 of 7. Like, I'm losing it. Wait, this is the Epoch boss, right? Wait, look, right. Yo, this game looks kind of fun, man. This all looks pretty obvious so far, man. Not gonna lie to you. Yeah, that looks pretty obvious to me. I can already tell what was going on. Yo, bro, this looks fun, man. I like dodging all that shit. That looks fun as fuck. Sheesh. Fights where you're looking for some subtle move the boss is making or difference in one lighting orb and another much harder to figure out in time to be useful, and heaven forbid you have to look down at your bars for any reason at the wrong time. Like others have mentioned, there's several fights, literally so much ground clutter / light effects, it's almost impossible to make the heads or tails of what's going on at your feet. I have no problem with wiping to new content while learning. Yes, you clearly do. Like, you are the kind of person that if you can't do it first time, like, it's just too hard, and you must complain. But it's difficult to figure things out, and there's nothing obvious to learn from mistakes are swiftly punished. As a player who loves high-end content, new Dawntrail dungeon enjoyable and engaging. I love the new difficulty. I think there can be options where they have something like Echo present when doing these solo with NPCs. No. I don't feel that Elden Ring or Dark Souls comparison is apt for current dungeon difficulty. From where I'm sitting as someone who wears many hats and tries as many game genres as possible, FF14's current dungeons are still easy. Sure, I've died in a few dungeons. Same! I've died too! I'm fucking bad at the game. But that's the thing, it's a me problem. Not a game problem. Swallow your fucking pride. Nice voice crack, idiot. And after the first death, I learned the mechanic proceeded to not do the thing that got me killed. That instead, considering a few threads that popped up, I'm not going to ignore the complaints. No, you really should. You really should ignore the complaints. There are people who dislike increased difficulty enough to consider unsubbing. Good. Like, get the fuck away. The game hasn't got to be that hard, but if it's still easy and people still suck, go play something else. Like me, if the game suddenly becomes easier than it currently is, I might fall asleep and accidentally hit the sub button myself. MSQ dungeons clearly need variants for both casual players and players desiring a more expert mode experience. Can even separate them out so only normal variant appears in leveling queues and expert variant appears in another tier of queue. And then while they're at it, they can make trust NPCs more reliable. Like AI sucks, man. I mean, I don't do trust, but like AI in this game is not good. Well, I haven't used trust for DTO, agrees call using trust NPCs failing mechanics or snapshot mechanics neither, which helps someone who needs the trust. I kind of failed to see how the dungeon category called expert should be entry-level casual. True. It still is, but you know. I.e. something that can be rolled through without so much thought and concern or general attention given to things happening on screen. There's a word in the name that should mean something. If the bare minimum level of control, manipulation, and brain power to kill a random mob moth isn't enough to beat an expert dungeon, we're getting somewhere in terms of making expert dungeons what they should be. MSQ dungeon difficulty is one thing because everyone has to do them. And they will gate you from the rest of the game. Expert dungeon difficulty is an entirely different subject matter. Combining the subjects will, in all likelihood, destroy any capacity for two portions of the player base see eye to eye on potential changes in difficulty. True. Actually a decent response. But you should just ignore them. It's honestly mislabeled. We used to get optional dungeons, now the newest dungeon gets added, which pushes the dungeon out of the expert roller. These are story dungeons that get added to expert. They're max level dungeons! You should have learned how to fucking use WASD by this point in the game! Because that is literally all you need. They don't even have a fucking enrage, so you could sit there and not do any fucking damage, and you will still be fine. If you gotta drop GCDs to do the mechanic, that's fine. It's not going to punish you. Another argument I keep seeing is that it bridges the gap between extremes, and this is good for when players do endgame content. The thing is, not everyone is wanting to push endgame content for a long while now, which we've been used to expert dungeons being casual too. If players suddenly cannot continue doing this content because it's getting harder, they're actively getting less out of their subs, which will also push casuals away. Good. I agree there should be more difficult content, but it should be placed outside of story expert into things like variants, which promises difficulty but ultimately didn't deliver. The various primal fights were called hard mode, but they were easy. Same with the hard mode dungeons that were mostly just rehashes the original dungeons. I don't know, man. I think those old hard mode dungeons are about the same difficulty as current expert. I'm gonna be real with you. Imagine being SC having to deal with this. I don't envy them. Like, you know, I've always complained about this mysterious feedback because when they say it, we never know where they've got it from or like what the reasoning is. But I don't envy them having to like read, especially the Western forums, which is just full of baiting, shit posting, and people like this. There's an obvious clash between the players who want more challenge and those who are currently struggling. I'm seeing players who simply cannot adapt due to circumstances outside of the game. They're still being told to get good. And they're still being told to... And it sucks because a lot of the feedback given by the casual guard has been well written. They're trying to explain why the content is too difficult and being met with hostility. Yeah, because people are getting tired of people complaining that no matter how easy you make the game, they are, like, still just unwilling to learn. It's not a case of not being able to do it. It's a case of being unwilling to learn or finding a way that works for you. Games aren't for everybody. There are games out there to suit everyone's need, but a singular game does not need to cater to every single person. If it is too hard for you, if circumstances change, the direction of this game has changed. And for a while, I was starting to think, maybe this is not for me anymore. But alas, I love streaming it. And I love the fact that like 200 plus people are like watching my stream at any given time for like most of the stream every day. So I endeavored to find ways that work for me that help me enjoy the game more. And alas, I found it. It's called not giving a fuck. I just sit here and mold and turn it into entertainment instead. We find a way around everything in life. When you face adversity, you quit or you get better. If you don't want to get better, fucking quit. Get the fuck out. No one cares. How the fuck do you survive in real life if you can't even take a game like giving you a run for your money? When you face adversity, make a forum post. Yeah. Clearly. I care. Sub Gerald. Firstly, as a long-time Soulsborne player, I have to agree, anyone comparing these games doesn't know what they're talking about. There's literally nothing in 14 that comes remotely close to that kind of difficulty unless you start getting into Savage raiding. And even then, the challenges are vastly different due to the nature of single-player versus team-based games. The way I see it, I like this post already, and their cat girl is really cute. Holy shit. The way I see it, the MSQs and dungeons are the skill floor of this game. And they determine who we want to be able to play. If you want a game that everyone can engage with, that you don't want to exclude anyone, SE needs to design these entry-level activities so that they're engaging but can be tackled by everyone. That includes people with disabilities, the very young and elderly, and may lack reaction speed, the casuals who lack the time practice, especially more challenging activities for players who find this more accessible content boring. As the dungeon being called expert, I don't think there's a valid argument. Excluding the dungeons available at launch, every other expert dungeon has been mandatory for story progression. There'd be outrage if players were still stuck in N-War because they couldn't clear the lunar subterrane. Personally, I enjoy the additional challenge. I think we're hitting a point now where people are going to start being skill checked out of the MSQ. And that's the price I'd rather not pay, just to make my personal experience a little bit better. Okay, I don't know. This post started off well, but it kind of fell off. Like, I'm just a believer in the fact that these things are not that hard. They are still very fundamental in terms of design. AFK check, thank you, chat. A lot of these bosses and dungeons in general use a lot of like just fundamental design, stack, spread, fucking knockback, like raid wide tank buster. Like it's really nothing crazy, man. It's just a bit faster this time. And who would have thought that speed was more fun? Crazy how that works. Like, fuck 'em. I'm done, like, trying to be, like, too nice to people that just don't want to try. They just don't want to get better. And just think that everything should cater to them regardless of, like, how other people might feel. And then say that we accuse them of being the problem. Like, it's so hypocritical, man. Reminded that the average player is dog water of the game, and I mean this is the most derogatory and inflammatory way you can imagine. I made a forum account to tell everyone to complain to get good. If you hate the dungeon, they have a built-in baby mode called Trust. Of course, they can't save you if you abuse them, so try not to do that. If your complaint is just about roulettes, there's enough tweaked players out there that your odds of not getting carried while possible low. Still not enough, just run MSQ roulette that dumps most XP for minimum effort. Leveling still too slow, that's where you spend time to get good. True. I don't know, man. Lady of 75 here. 27 MMO years under her belt with over 3k hours in this game. Based elderly player. This will be my last full expert. Become too difficult with the old arthritis. It's just too much for me this round. Although I still love the hunts, people using mods have ruined that for me. What do they mean, like sonar or something? Like, what does this mean? Like, anyway, like, at least this person seems to accept that there comes a point where it might just not be for them anymore. You know what I mean? Hunt Train Assistant. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with Hunt plugins because I don't hunt, really. And even when I did, I didn't use any plugins. Wait, actually, no, that's a lie. I used one that just said if something was, like, rendered. But that wasn't Dalamud. That was like Hoyo Ring or something. I can't remember what it was called. I fail to understand why a story mode difficulty option is such a bad thing. Like these are story mode, man. Like, yeah, we get it. You're old, and like that's gonna affect like your reaction times and like you know your speed, and you know that's fair. But like, they have to appeal to more than just those that are getting on in life. You know. This thread is about MSQ dungeons. Like, yeah, it's bad. Yeah, like, why do you think it should be catered to you, but like not everyone else? Huh? I'm 35 and still doing alright, and according to people on the internet these days, I may as well be a corpse. True. I'm dead in 5 months. In 5 months, I am 30. I will become skull and bones. Yeah, I agree. DT's ramp is twice too high, but who cares about the casuals wanting to finish the forced MSQ? I think it's about time they allow us to skip all of MSQ, enjoy the zones and crafters and gatherers, or make it so they have the difficulty tiers in this game. MSQ being always very easy, then you unlock very hard duties into experts. Ah, yes. Experts, very hard. And Walker showed horrible duties and they got 1,000,000 times worse. Sure. But man, I think it's cool that like old folk play games, man. I think that's cool. But like if a game isn't catered to like you, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. There are a lot of people younger than you. Warcraft migration was a mistake. One of the best things about FF14 was the kind and accepting player base, but I guess Warcraft's failure has brought in the dregs of the gaming populace. Only see that other players as a burden rather as fellow. The fucking WoW players, bro! They're ruining the game! They're so fucking toxic! These days, empathy is scarce. Sometimes I think in order to prevent gaming addiction among the youths, making games of lower difficulty but higher cultural values is key. But corporations of the age value sheer profit and resort to using addiction psychology to manipulate young people for it. Maybe, just maybe, the same Yoshi P has become the person he replaced years ago. Everything has an end. You sound like a fucking politician that goes on a fucking news station to tell us how violent video games are bad. Holy activism. You should read books. It is our business because the incessant mewling from people like you is why the game is being progressively dumbed down and more that's unfun to play for anyone who have more than 2 functioning neurons. Yoshi P should ignore your feedback. Based! Learn your job on a striking dummy. I will never understand why people feel entitled to being a burden on others by playing jobs they can barely process in relevant content. Highlander clone. I love this. As someone who has never done Extreme or Savage on Expansion or Synced, and Omega Casual, seems like these players just want MSQ content to be brain dead easy. I've seen that players at 90 plus don't know basic mechanics like multi-hit stack markers, kit their job has, or refuse to use it. Tanks not using mic. These have to be players making these posts. Hope SE don't listen to them. I'm glad you feel that way. And thank you for being another example of the friends I mentioned earlier who are like far more casual at the game. Like they don't give a fuck about like raiding or anything. But even they like don't understand why people like think dungeons should just be fucking baby mode. Like this is just a loud minority. But there are a lot of them. And it's very annoying. So thank you for being a voice. No, not reading it. Don't care. Christ, please do not nerf these or lower difficulty going forward. If I have a base level difficulty worth being 500 plus hours deep and 10 years into the game. Yeah, like this is the thing, right? If you do story from level 1, and let's face it, alright, you know, I know there's a lot of you guys that like enjoy the MSQ and always watch the story. So like, if the shoe doesn't fit, don't fucking wear it. But there is a correlation between hardcore story enjoyers and being god awful at the fucking game. Okay? It's not a direct one, but it is there. Don't stick your middle finger up at me. I said if the shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it. I'm not pointing at anyone here. Yeah, but you story skip and can't even play Bard properly? Damn, dude. Anyway, it's true. Like, if you go from, like, level 1, like, you are several hundred hours into the game. By the time you get to this point. Like, how have you not learned anything? They've even standardized old mechanic markers to make sure that the experience is more consistent, which I think, by the way, was a very good change, and they needed to do that. The only exception is the last boss of Circus Tower, Zandi. Because, like, stacking stack markers together is still, like, a big no-no anywhere else. But, for the most part, the fundamentals are shown to you, not taught to you. This game doesn't teach you shit. But it's... I don't know, man. I just... I don't know, man. And to the people with physiological or neurological issues that restrict your ability to perform your rotation, negotiate mechanics, move throughout the game and such, I respect your perseverance, but what are you even doing here? And why do you feel that an action RPG with a heavy thematic emphasis on overcoming adversity should remove adversity from counter design just for your personal gratification? Please be better and stop dragging on everyone else's enjoyment down just because you feel like you're owed progression. True. An endless horde of quadriplegic, colorblind, octogenarian stroke victims come out to cry foul. Every time content requires a slight spin. Holy fuck. Jesus. Good lord. I don't even know what half those words mean. Happened for Nidhogg, for Shinryu, Tsukiyomi, Warrior of Light, and they get outgeared and all these people suddenly disappear until the next major patch comes out. I'm half convinced it's just trolling. Fucking hell. Alright. Are you reading the whole thread? Like, I'm reading most posts that aren't just serial fucking essaying. There are 7 pages. We are on page 5. AFK check chat. It's not been half an hour yet. It's okay. Out of all responses I've read so far, this is the example I'm going to use for nasty rude behavior. What a cruel and uncaring response. Hang on a minute. That's what you choose to be rude. After this! After this! These people are not fucking real, man. Like, these people are just not real. There is no way. As someone with massive social anxiety who always struggles to get through the dungeons and trials just so I can finish the story, this makes you think this game is time for me to move on from FF14. Which sucks because I love the game. I've never liked running dungeons and trials. I only do them because I have to. Takes me a very long time, sometimes months, to get up enough courage to hit the Q button for the next dungeon or trial. If Dawntrail is this hard, I just don't want to play. The game has been harder than this before. I don't know, like, you know, I want to empathize with people that, like, struggle with anxiety and such, because we've all been there, man. But this, like, look, there just comes a point where this game is just not for you. I find it difficult to believe some of these posts. Like, I just don't believe them. Like, but then I got over it. Like, that's 2 hours. That's not several months. Best way to overcome anxiety is to combat it. Very true. Depression has found a gigastatic. What is wrong with people? Because, like, so many people, like, they have the inhibitions. Like, I'm not diagnosed, so, like, I don't, like, say I have anything specific, because I think that's rude to people that have been diagnosed and such, right? But I can tell, like, there is something wrong with me, because, like, I struggle a lot with, like, anxious feelings and stuff at times. There are periods of time in my life, especially, like, the last few months, honestly, where, like, I've really struggled, like, mentally. But you just have to grit your teeth, man. You have to grit your teeth and keep going. The world waits for nobody. And if you think it should, that's your problem. You know? You have to find a way around that. You know, the last 6 years of my life, like, I have struggled a lot with, like, my mental. Sometimes I'm better at it, sometimes I'm just not so good at it. It's not fun second guessing everything you do. Because you feel like everything you do is wrong. Like... But you simply make do. You find solutions. You remember how you dealt with stuff in a better time. And you keep fucking going, man. I should really go to a doctor about my fucking mental state sometimes, man. I really should. I need to know if it's just like little bitch syndrome or if I actually have something wrong with me. But I'm lazy. You know, I've never struggled with like confidence. And like when I started playing this game, I was a lot more confident of a person. But then something changed, like, I don't know, around 2024 maybe. No, not 2024. What am I on about? Like 2020. Yeah, 2020 I think. I don't know. But anyway, story for another time. Like, my point is, like, not everything in life is made for you. If you struggle that hard, you find a way to manage it, or you go and do something else. Logan out just being a bitch. Please take care of yourself, bro. Mental health is really important to me. But you know, I've been brought up to always face challenges. You know, I've been brought up to know that no matter how hard shit gets, you have to keep going. And that's what I do. That's what I do. So anyway, you know, I'm not making myself out to, like, be the victim here. Like, clearly some people struggle a lot more. But I think there is a point where if it's that bad, then yeah, maybe this is not for you. And you need to, you know, you need to move on to something that better caters to you. Or find a way to deal with it. Because if it's that bad, then you are going to really struggle with a lot of things in life. I have a lot to say about what you said, but it's too much for Twitch chat, but I feel you, man. Yo, DM me sometime, man. We can talk about it. But just know you're not alone, brother. Life's hard. None of you are alone, chat. Life is hard. But you can do it. Anyway, tangent aside, doesn't duty support exist? Every piece of story percent content in the game, you can't do the entire thing with NPCs party members now, who also usually show the perfect way to resolve mechanic. This is a thing as well. Like, they've made, like, the whole game fucking soloable, dude. And, like, these people still complain. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's insane. Shouldn't call it social anxiety. It's just anxiety. I get it even running with trust. It's a little easier if trust still just be feeling physically ill with trust or people. Because with trust you screw up and you have to start completely over. No, they're not available for every single piece of story content. They're not available for 98% of trials. Why do a lot of these posts advocating for harder content need to be so rude and or condescending? There's enough hard content in the game. It's almost as if you don't want casual players in the game anymore. As if these players are beneath you. Like, I fucking hate this, bro. Why do people take disagreement as, like, ego? Alright, yeah, there is a lot of egotistical twats in this game. And, like, I don't like them. I think they're annoying. Ego in video games is very cringe. But... You know, it's fine to be proud of what you've achieved, but, like, no one else asked. You know? But, like, this isn't that. Like, this is disagreement. And yet you take it so fucking personally. It's not because, like, we're above anyone. It's because we understand, like, what the game aims to do. And we understand that not everything in life is given for free. People are rude because they're tired of casuals ruining the game. Yeah, I mean, it's at that point where people are just getting fed up with it. It's like, stop fucking playing then. A lot of, like, raiders have quit the game because the game's not going the way they want to anymore. Like, it just is what it is. They complain about it, sure. And they even, like, blame the casuals. But we don't act as if, like, we're above people. We only respond to people like this because of how personally they take it and how defensive they get over a disagreement. There are people in this world, believe it or not, who just want to have fun because it's just a game. Just fun. They don't want to be frustrated by a ton of wipes. Yeah, but, like, you have fun when you get better at things. Don't want to invest hours on exactly where to stand in every dungeon and what mechanic, and they certainly don't want a game to be a second job. I, for one, rather invest time in getting better at my real-life job than wiping some MSQ dungeon. Here it comes. Here's the I have a job IRL. Like, what was that about us thinking we're above you? Meow. Yeah, so give me a sec, cut. Yeah. Also, the amount of dungeons in this game is huge, and I cannot even remember all the mechanics. Most of them being not that hard is actually a good thing, but the solution to the problem can be very easy. There's multiple possibilities. Let the MSQ dungeons, or in general any dungeon we're forced to do, be easy, and make the optional ones hard. For me, for example, difficulty of Endwalker was just enough. Make the MSQ dungeons easy, implement an expert version. Shouldn't not be that big of a problem. There, problem solved. You can have your hard content, and us casuals can have easier stuff. I've always talked about, like, a scaling system, man. It would be better. And I'd always go up to the harder ones so I don't have to play with people like you. Got to the second dungeon in Dawntrail and I can't get past the first boss. Died 5 times. I quit, I guess. FF14 just isn't for me anymore. Hope they go back and give me an easier option, then one day I can come back to the game. Alright, see ya. When you consider that it's not the fight is too hard, you just haven't figured out what the gimmick is. There's nothing new in that fight. You haven't done 100 times already except the tether, and what it does is change the order the area goes off. Don't just try to brute force stuff running it over and over. You just don't get it. Ask your party or watch what your trust is doing. This is a cooperative game, not a solo experience. True. Anyway, I think, like, we get the point, you know? I think we get the point. I think we get the idea. Here is the thread once more. I think I've said my piece. My God.